Stephen, thank you for joining us today on Interviews with Experts. It's nice to see you.
Pleasure.
So for those of you listening or watching this on our YouTube channel, Stephen Green is the founder of the Property Investment Academy. He's the author of best-selling book Safe as Houses, and he's a property and mindset coach. So Stephen's here with us today to talk about how he's used his content and how he's communicated what he knows about mindset and in his training to build multiple seven-figure businesses. So it's going to be a great conversation. Stephen, would you mind just letting everybody know a bit more about who you are and what you're focusing on right now?
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Georgia. So my background from a northern sort of town, I'll sort of try and condense it all. So from a little northern town, Redcar on the seafront, the northeast coast of England, born and bred here. Went in the army when I was 21 years old, spent just short of 12 years in the army, and while I was in there I started to build up some money. You can't spend a lot of money when you're in Afghanistan and Iraq, so it tends to start building. And I just started, I was interested in sort of doing something smart with my money, started looking at property, and I bought my first property in 2006 while I was still serving, my first investment property. And I just started to flip them. I started to do them up, renovate them, sell them and make a profit. And I found that I was actually making more than what I was being paid from my full military wage for going to Iraq, Afghanistan in some pretty extreme conditions. For doing a couple of flips here, I was making sort of the same money and enjoying it. And then Gemma gave birth to my daughter Sadie, and it just felt like the right time to get out. So 2010 I got out to do it full time, and then I just continued building that portfolio to a point. It's now 77 different properties, and it's worth 6 million. So it felt the right thing a couple of years ago to start helping other people. I'd sort of hit this figure where I had more than enough passive income that I could spend. It was more than that I'd ever sort of spend. I don't have fancy watches or boats or anything like that. So once I sort of hit this figure over 100 grand a year, I just found I couldn't spend the money. So I don't know, it just felt, I always sort of enjoyed in the army teaching other people and bringing them along. I was responsible for training recruits and doing a lot of training, and just I sort of wanted to help other people do what I'd done, because I knew there was an easier way.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that always comes through in every conversation, I think, actually. And it's definitely clear in the way you manage your you run several groups for the people who are learning from you about property on Facebook as well. And I always think this about you, that what comes through, there may have been financial goals at one time, and there'll always be those sorts of goals where business is concerned, but what you seem to care more about is the impact you have on other people. And so it's in every way you communicate, this comes out, and it's certainly something that, it's one of your big motivators for writing your first book, Safe as Houses, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm really passionate around mindset. People sometimes say, oh, he's a property guy, now he's a mindset expert all of a sudden, when actually it was the other way around. I was studying mindset way before I was into property. Personal growth started for me around about 2005-ish. I went on a course in the military in 2006. And I was always sort of passionate. At school, I didn't enjoy school, and the only thing I sort of enjoyed was PE, learning about the body and mindset goals and things like that. So I've always sort of found that pulled me that direction. So yeah, mindset's been a big part of my life. It was before property, and that's why I incorporate it so much into the property training. It's because I believe that if you don't have that, it's the foundation to everything, and without that, you won't succeed. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. And you're currently writing your next book, aren't you? Which is, am I right in thinking that's more mindset focused?
It is, yeah. It's actually on the t-shirt, Discipline, which you see me wear quite often these days. So that's all around the 10 steps on having the right mindset to succeed. which is something, like I say, I'm really passionate about. We run a couple of events a year where we put them on completely free for people with mental health challenges. So yeah, I'm probably more passionate on that than I am on the property, if I'm honest.
Yeah, okay. And what is it, do you think, about the topic of mindset that drives you so much?
I just think it's everything. I think it's looking at my own life, sort of the patterns of, I've always been driven, I've been focused. I was certainly motivated by money for a lot of years because of ego issues from growing up as a kid, being a small kid, people writing me off and things like that, not doing well at school. I always had this sort of chip on my shoulder to prove people wrong. And that drove me to be successful and to make money. But it wasn't until it's the old cliche thing that when I got there, I realised that I hadn't filled this great big hole. And then it was just, I started then, instead of looking outside, I started to look more inside. And off the back of that, I'm just in such a good place, just so positive, just love life every single day. And it's taught me that doesn't happen by chance. We can all feel that. And I know exactly what it takes to put someone in that frame of mind. And I think that, for me, is the greatest gift. It's not, I love it when my mentees come to me and they show me another set of keys for another property they've bought, or they've now left the jobs, they're financially free. But the most rewarding for me by far is when people say that they've repaired relationships in the marriage or with the children, or they've lost weight, they just feel more positive, they've come off medication. When you know you've had that real impact on someone's life.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm in one of your Facebook groups, and so I can 100% say that that's true. Those comments come through every week, if not most days. So the impact you're having is definitely real. If we talk now about your personal brand then, and the way you tie all of this together, and you mentioned, you'll always get these, the better you do, the more the trolls will come out. I think you call them your mates, don't you? Yeah. And they'll always try and, they're always there to pull someone down. And so you get people who will say, 1 minute property, the next minute mindset. But like you pointed out, this has been building and threading together for years. For people listening to this, entrepreneurs listening to this, who are wondering how they can build a name for themselves that also pulls on all of their different life experiences, how would you describe that process?
You've got to be authentic. That for me is the key thing. Don't try and be someone that you're not. Don't try and, just because somebody else has done something a particular way, don't try and follow that. I just say, be yourself is the biggest thing that I do, and I just, people either like me or they don't. It's as simple as that. I'm really not attached to that. That's it doesn't matter who it is. Like, somebody's own mum and dad will have a different view on how we look. They'll see us slightly different. They'll have a different opinion on us. So I always say, don't get involved in what other people think about you. Just be yourself. That's all you can do. If you do that, you can't ask any more of yourself. So I think that's the absolute sort of foundations of it all, is being authentic. And then see what you're passionate about. So once you've found that real passion, I believe our purpose lies where our passion and our strengths meet. So looking at what your strengths are and what you're passionate about, and just following that path. Because if you follow your passion, your purpose, and you're authentic, I think the best will always come out of us.
Yeah, that's great advice, and very true. And I think I certainly find sometimes, I think especially in the business world, where that there is a materialistic element to how people perceive success, and you'll always see people with the sort of showing off certain maybe objects or possessions and that kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with that. That's like good for them because they've worked really hard for that. But maybe it can be easy for some people to look at that and think that's what I should aspire to. And I think it's interesting to hear what you've just said about authenticity.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's sort of in the line of work that I'm doing. It's difficult because I remember that I never used to tell anybody about any of my results. So up until, I probably had £3 million worth of property. I was very financially well off. And nobody knew anything about that at all. It wasn't until one of my coaches said, well, look, if you want to sort of put yourself on that pedestal and you want to teach other people, they need to know your results. People aren't just going to come here and go, right, great, I'll invest with that guy and do training with him, because nobody's aware of what you're doing. You're not actually telling anyone. And that for me was a little bit uncomfortable at first, sort of getting over that hurdle. People will probably say I'm the opposite now, where, oh my God, there he goes on again about this result and that result. And it's not because I'm trying to impress people, it's because I'm trying to impress upon them what's possible. If someone with no school grades and was completely written off can do this, then I believe anyone can. I come from humble background, was brought up in a council house, parents split up. So there was nothing, I didn't have any sort of advantage whatsoever. You could say that things were sort of against me. And that's why I know it's, I always remember hearing a professional sports star, and I think it might have been Serena Williams, the tennis player, saying that there's nothing special about me. And I remember I've seen that a few times from people who've done really well, top athletes, celebrities. And you think it's just sort of that cliche thing that, or you just say that when you're in that position. And I sort of thought that too. And it wasn't until I took this journey on personal growth and I started to see clues and patterns, and I started to think, hey, he's saying the same thing as that person and that person. And if I'm to follow that same sort of action, surely I'm going to get the same sort of results. And once I started to see that and I started to believe in that, it just really made me realise, and I'm now also one of those people that say, look, there's nothing special about me. And people go, you're going to say that. But there isn't. I've just followed a certain set of principles, and I believe when you do, you can achieve anything.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so let's talk then about the role of content in all of this, because you don't just have this message and say it when asked or when given the opportunity. You proactively seek out people that need to hear it, and you proactively go about packaging what you know to be true up into different sort of forms and put it out there into the world. What inspired you what first gave you the idea, first of all, to write Safest Houses, to write your first book?
Safest Houses wasn't actually my first book I started to write. So my first book I started to write was Discipline in 2016, which I still haven't finished. I'm intending to get that done this year. What gave me sort of that kick up the arse was being at an event of Andy Harrington's and seeing the other coaches, and they all had the books out, and I thought, I started my book 3 years ago and it's still not finished, and all these people here are publishing the books. And I just thought, I really need to do that to position myself as the expert, as an authority. So I'd wanted to write a property book as well. And I just thought, right, I'll start on the property book, because I knew it wouldn't be as big. It would be easier for me to complete. The mindset one, I've deleted more words than what Safe as Houses was in total. I literally just keep going back over it and over it. That's why it took so long. So that's why I sort of went back a step and did the property book. But yeah, it was to position myself as that expert.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, and can you tell us a bit about what happened? So once the book was out there, some pretty amazing results started to come out. I mean, straight away, basically. What sort of things were going on?
Yeah, so obviously you helped me do the book, which was great. We got that out, we got that published. At the moment now, it's our main lead generator. So we've got that out on Facebook, which we've got as the lead generator. People click on the book, so it's an offer of download the free PDF. They click on that. We bring them into a funnel, which gives them the opportunity to take a free strategy call. And that's when we can speak to people, we can offer them training, see how we can best support them. So the book has had a massive, massive impact on the business, and certainly through the COVID times, because we can't get out, we can't do events, as you know, right now, hotels and things are closed, events rooms are closed. But we're able to use the book as a lead gen to sell training as soon as the events are open again. So it's been massive for us. I think without that, we would have struggled during these times. We've been able to use that book lead as a point of sort of diverting and bringing that traffic in still.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And what do you think makes it so effective?
I think with a book, I think people automatically, when you I think it's just like, I do it on Google even still. So if I sometimes read an article and then I have to sort of stop myself and think, how do I know there's truth in this, what I'm reading? And I wouldn't have normally done that recently. You read something and you sort of take it that's what it is. It's somebody's written, it must be true. And I think a book sort of takes that to the next level. When you see that somebody's gone out, they've wrote a book, especially if it looks professional, and you've had somebody like yourself who's helped with that, it makes a big impact when somebody's looking at your sort of work. I really do believe that.
Yeah, definitely. That's really interesting. And it did well from the word go, didn't it? I remember that night it was published, and it just all the comments started to come through, and I think within the first hour there was like 50 something people going, bought a copy, and then over the next few days they were sending in photos because it had arrived, and they're like, right, my copy's arrived, I'm going to read it. And you ended up getting I think it was like Robert Kiyosaki, wasn't it, that just hung on to the number one spot, but you were like right up there against him for I think several weeks, right? Yeah,
I was. So the aim was to try and get it to top spot. We didn't achieve that. We got it second, but Robert Kiyosaki was first and Tony Robbins was third. So I was in that sandwich with two people who massively inspire me as well. So two giants of influencers. So it was great to still see it there.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was goosebumps, really, and just the amount of people as well that then the comments started to come through and reviews about how much it had impacted them and how just useful it was. And so now you've got your second book that's due out around the end of the year, and so people will be able to find that wherever you are online, won't they? But you also do some videos. You've got a YouTube channel. You interview people. How does that tie in with how else you use content?
I think that the most dangerous number in business is the number one. And if you have one of anything and you lose that one thing, then the business is massively at risk. And that's something that I learned from an old coach and mentor of mine. If you've got one stream of putting your name out there, Facebook, and they go close your account, you've just literally lost everything. So for me, you should be looking at as many platforms as possible to put yourself out there. You don't need to necessarily start on them all together, but definitely looking at building on that in terms of YouTube channel, having a book, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Insta, all the sort of the big sort of platforms, then I believe you should be on as many of those as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then of course you've got the Mindset book coming out next as well. So you're creating this kind of like a bit of a content machine actually, because it's all going to just sort of compound. Do you find that's true, that they work well on their own, but the books especially are going to work better together, right?
Yeah, definitely that. I just think the whole lot, when you're using all of them platforms together, one thing that I've been very good at is tapping into free leads, should we say, or free reach. And you can do that with your book. The book's a great way of doing that, of having a free PDF. We now spend marketing on Facebook to do that, but you can even on your own Facebook, most people have got 500 to 1,000 friends on sort of Facebook. Just putting your PDF out on there alone, if you've got a free PDF, most people will take that, and if it's something good, then they'll share it along, and that can spread across a lot of people. Another thing which I do is local radio and TV as well. So obviously being recently on Channel 5 on Rich House, Poor House, again, massive traffic coming in from some of that we didn't have any expenditure on at all. It was just obviously the time involved and local radio and things like that. So I encourage people to look at them avenues, have a look at speaking with your local radio, local papers, local TV, because if you've got a story, people think it's harder to get in the paper and on the radio and things like that than what it actually is. If you've got a story to talk into, you find that very welcoming to bring you on and sort of talk into something that you've done. Yeah. Especially if it is a book or something like that as well. If you've published a book, then that's a great opportunity to contact your local papers and local radio station, telling them you've done that, and then getting the publicity off the back of that as well, because they love publishing stories like that. It makes it very easy to sort of, as you say, you start to get that momentum of multiple things coming in.
Definitely, really inspiring. And I did, when I watched you on Channel 5, you and Gemma and the girls, and I heard the book mentions as well, so all of these things overlap and cross over, don't they?
Definitely, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So what's next then? We're just wrapping up the conversation now, and what's obviously you've got a book coming out. How's that going to fit into your plans, and what can people look forward to from Stephen Green?
So the book's going to be out by the end of the year. I've set myself a little bit of a challenge. You've probably seen that on Facebook. So I'm currently attempting to do something which is going to be a world record. I'm looking to do a double Ironman back-to-back with no sleep in between, and it's got a couple of other little twists in it as well.
Oh, it was no sleep either.
Yeah, so it's going to be around about 30 hours of continuous fitness. It's going to equate to 2.4 mile swim, 112 miles on the bike, and then a full marathon. And then as soon as I finish, I've got to start again. So another 2.4, another 112 on the bike, and then another full marathon. And I'm going to attempt to do that back to back. I've got my first half Ironman distance this Sunday, so I'll see how I get on with that. Training's been going well, and again, we get a lot of publicity off that. A lot of people are inspired by doing things like that. Last year, we had the Homeless Millionaire, where I went homeless on the streets. We videoed it, and all of that's on YouTube as well. That's had over 30,000 views on it now, and we've actually been nominated for an award this year, Gold Movie Awards, I think it is.
Amazing. You do so much so often, it's kind of actually hard to sort of keep track of it, and I've completely forgotten, the Homeless Millionaire, of course, all the other TV stuff you're doing, so that's fantastic. So this fitness challenge is absolutely mega, and I don't think I've ever heard of anyone doing anything like it, so good luck. Yeah, it's amazing. And to be honest, if that doesn't say something about what you know about mindset, then I don't know what will. So that's, it's definitely a book I can't wait to read. So where can people look out for that and follow your journey, your fitness journey as well, if they'd like to?
The people can follow me on Facebook, just under my personal name, Stephen Green with a V. YouTube, just under my name again, Stephen Green. And then on Facebook, again, I've got a page which is under my name again. And website is www.stegreen.co.uk, where you can download the book free. And lastly, there's the Property Investment Academy, where we do all of our property training from as well. That's on Facebook.
Perfect. Really, really do encourage people to check you out. So definitely go online and find Stephen, because the stuff he does is amazing. It's very inspiring and slightly bonkers, and that's why we love him. Thank you so much for joining us today, Stephen. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Georgia. Thank you.